I'm super excited to have her talk about this because this topic is super timely. So, over to you.
Good. Let's see if my mic came on. It did come on. Great. Well, welcome, and thanks for coming back this morning. Sometimes, you know, these late nights at conferences, you know, kind of keep people sleeping in a little bit. And I want to thank Leilani and the Learning Council for asking me to do this, because I do think the topic is particularly timely. And I'm going to do a 3-hour seminar on AI in leadership in 40 minutes. So they don't have seat belts on, these seats, but you better strap in because we're going to go fast because there's a lot to cover. To get us started, AI in the classroom is here. Whether you know it or not, it is here, it is alive and well. And the prediction is that it's going to increase by almost 50% to 2021. Well, we're at the cusp of 2020. You know, we didn't have a fall, we're having winter. Blink your eyes, Christmas is here, and then it's going to be 2020. So I want to show you a very interesting little video clip that maybe for some of you will be your first introduction to AI and exactly what the power and potential of that is. So strap in. Here. So, if AI can teach itself to walk, what else can it do for us? Well, so artificial intelligence, you know, what's it all about? Well, in my research, I discovered that our federal government has an extensive research study going on about AI. And they have commissioned the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence and just released this month a report. And what does the report tell us that's cogent to us as educators? That we all know we're in a technological revolution, but it has the ability to solve problems that would require human intelligence. And it's faster than we are. But what this report tells us is that how we, as a country, how we pay attention to this and adopt AI is going to have amazing, amazing ramifications for our society, for our economic well-being, and importantly, which maybe we don't think about all the time in education, our position in the world. There is a stiff competition on the planet to recruit AI talent. And unfortunately, China is doing a much better job than we are. They are actively recruiting, building, and moving forward at a phenomenal pace. They're pulling back as many PhDs as they can that we've trained in our university. Other countries are starting to eclipse us because they have very favorable immigration and work policies. So our position is starting to weaken. This is troubling to me. But we still have a lot of advantages. I think the whole world knows, and we have the top universities in the world. And people flock to our universities, but the problem is we're not keeping many of them. But we still do have the best companies, and we're still at the top of the mountain on it. But we have to be careful, and we have to pay attention, because AI is going to shape the future of power. The world leadership mantle will rest clearly upon whoever can ascend and remain at the top of this mountain. It's going to be the strength of what they term the innovation economy. And it's going to drive waves of advancement. And I highlighted the word education because that's important to us, but we should pay attention to everything else too, because everything plays together and plays in. Now, some people are raising the alarm bells. Oh no, the machines are coming, they're going to take over. My husband said, I don't know why you're talking about that. We don't need AI and all that, Sheryl. My husband just retired from running a bank for 40 years. He was like, we just need to just be calm. I said, we don't need any AI. He says, no, I don't know why you're going to be talking about that. I said, then give me your iPhone. He said, what? I said, that's AI. Don't talk to Siri one more time. Do not ask her one more question about how to get to some place when you're out of town. He says, well, that's different. So there is this rising fear about it. And, you know, we don't want to be too optimistic or too pessimistic. We don't need to be worried about this super intelligence that's going to take over, and we need to defend against the machines and the robots. But some people do worry about it. But the truth of the matter is we're in a strategic competition. AI is at the center of that competition. We need to recognize it. We need to understand it. And really the future of how we move forward as a country is at stake. But you know, I don't know how many of y'all are fans of The Matrix. I'm all over it. I love me some Neo. I can quote stuff to you. I can also quote Star Wars and Star Trek, but that's another story. And Jurassic Park. So we're not living in the Matrix, and the machines will not take over and crash into our world that we have created, and we will not be able to read ones and zeros, but we are in the middle of a technological revolution. So what's happened in the last few decades, and I see some of you in this room that are approaching my age, that this isn't the first meeting you've gone to. So you remember when we didn't have all this technology, and you've seen this rapid evolution. Basically, our society has been digitized. And I like to say AI is the new electricity. It's transforming everything. It's not going to do everything, but we need to know that it's going to do a lot. I thought this was so interesting. If you haven't read Freakonomics, it's not a brand new book, but I've read it a couple of times because to me to me, Steve Levitt is very insightful. But there is so much data that's created today. Every second, this is mind-boggling, every second, 5 libraries of Congress worth of information is being generated. And 90% of the data produced by humanity has been in the last 2 years. That's a phenomenal amount of information. What does this mean to us? What does this mean to you? That we are data inundated. And quite frankly, we as educators cannot process or manage it all. It's becoming too much. And what the World Economic Forum tells us that 5 years from now, this is astounding, and I got woke over this, 35% of the skills we see as essential today are going to change. Now, that doesn't mean that we are going to be dinosaurs, because we're leaders in technology and we are evolving every single day in our school districts. But this is what the 10 most important skills that companies are going to be looking for. What's number one? Data literacy. We need to fuel the fourth industrial revolution, and it is all about data, data, data. The critical thinking, we've been talking about that for years. The tech savviness that perhaps we haven't talked about enough in education for our students and our teachers, but the whole thing of AI and Internet of Things. I mean, everything's hooked up to everything. We're going to be moving to Houston next year, and we've been looking at new houses. I'm like, we're going to have some of this. My husband's like, we're not having all this hooked up to the internet. I said, oh, we are. It's going to be at our doorbell and when our windows open and music, and I'm going to control it all from my iPhone. He said, we're not paying for all that. I said, oh, we're so paying for all that. We're going to have all this, and we're going to be IoT'd up. And he's like, I don't even know what that is. I said, I'm going to teach you. I taught you how to use an iPhone. You're going to be able to turn off the lights too. So the whole thing around robots and blockchain. But we've got to be flexible and adaptable and certainly creative. The concept of emotional intelligence has been around for years, but we're paying more attention to that with social emotional learning. Diversity. Our country is becoming more and more diverse and more accepting and more knowledgeable about that. Certainly leadership and this complex decision making, this taking all this data in, and then how will it impact us, applying it in relevant ways, and certainly being able to work with people and collaborate are very important. So why do we care about it? Why are you here? Why did Leilani ask me to talk about it? Well, it's a part of our lives. And we are racing to catch up in the education field. But our goal is to help students learn more efficiently, achieve their learning objectives, do better. We want children every single day to do better. Because here's the key. Our kids are not all the same. We know they're not cookie cutters. And every year, they're becoming more and more differently abled. We've got analytical thinkers, we've got left brain and right brain. We've got kids that are creative and communicate in different ways. We're sending them on what we call personalized pathways. I would submit to you, I'm not sure how really personalized they are. And as we become more diverse, we have children that have different languages, different cultures, and different ways to assimilate knowledge. So we're moving into what is termed AI-enabled hyperpersonalization. Not personalization, hyperpersonalization. And the key is that to have systems that tailor and truly personalize learning for every student. Not just say, oh, we got some personalized learning. You in group A, you in group B, you in group C. Now come on, group A. You're going to get your personalized learning. Truly individualized instruction for each children. And machine learning or AI systems helps us do that with custom profiles of learning, very, very granular for every student, based on what they know, what they're able to do, their learning modes, and their experiences. By 2024, it's predicted almost half of learning management tools are going to be AI-enabled. It won't be just a single curriculum for every student. There'll be a wide range of learning opportunities, but the same core. We know we have to teach the standards. We know we have to focus on the core curriculum. Okay, but not every child gets the same dose at the same time in the same way. And this market is predicted to be over $6 billion in basically 4 years. Put on your seatbelt. So, how can it help educators? Well, I don't know. How many of you in here were a teacher at one time? Taught somewhere? You're really teaching all the time because if you're a leader, you're teaching. But educators spend about 50% of their time on non-teaching tasks. We manage the classroom environment. We organize things. We grade. We do all of this administrative work. And so, how can it help us with this interaction? It can help us a lot. And what that does is give teachers time to do what they really want to do, which is focus on students, help students, coach them individually, and not be tied up with administrative tasks. Most of you in this room are in some kind of a leadership position. Administrators. I was a school principal. I would have loved to have had some of this to help with administrative tasks. And at the district office, all of the budgeting, predictions, analyzing, like this. Not 50 Excel spreadsheets spread out, trying to figure out what is the growth trend or the revenue decline. Having that is going to save us. So AI basically is what we need to move forward. But the beauty of this to me is it's this enabling, this novel teaching, these powerful methods for teachers to truly personalize learning. So what can it do for us when we use it? What it does is lower our operating cost, and everybody's trying to save a dime. We can get more visibility into funding streams, be able to know really what we're doing with our money, and then interpret that, extrapolate it, and make powerful decisions, and improve our responsiveness. Well, AI didn't just start like last year. It's evolved. This whole concept of pattern recognition, machine learning, natural language, speech recognition. How many of you remember when speech recognition was in its infancy? I remember I would talk into some Apple computer and it would come back and I would go, oh, I didn't say anything like that. It was caveman-like. Right now, talk to Siri or talk to Alexa. She will take care of business. In fact, in our house, sometimes Alexa talks to us when we don't talk to her. My husband's like, what did she say? I said, I don't know. You must have said something she didn't like. He said, is she listening to us? I said, probably. But honey, don't worry. We're not saying anything interesting enough for them to care about. So just, it's okay. But it's this whole concept of speed and quality and being able to make decisions at a rapid pace to keep moving forward. It's that large quantity of data sets that allows AI to function at a level we as humans cannot do, period. We have to accept it and get over it. And it's shifting, this machine learning shift, as you saw in the first DeepMind Google Hello, I Taught Myself to Walk AI. AI learns from experience, improves. And it's got to have large data sets. That's okay. We got plenty of it in education. But the key is that researchers are telling us there is a strong possibility of these systems evolving to have the same intellectual task as humans. I'm a big sci-fi girl. I've watched so many movies about how the mind is transformed into a machine, all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know about that. But I would be okay with them taking my mind, putting it up, and then later on, maybe I have a new body, much younger, much cuter, much skinnier. But it's me. It's the new me. So I think that's science fiction-y, but we'll get there. There's no doubt that deep learning can solve problems with new levels of performance. We take it for granted, ladies and gentlemen. If you use Waze, Waze sends you the best way to avoid the traffic. I need a Waze tattoo because I use it all the time, because I do not want to be sitting in rush hour traffic in Houston or Los Angeles or somewhere. We're just fine when it tells us about the best movie that we want in Netflix. We're just fine when our bank emails us and says, we have detected some suspicious activities. You're like, oh no, I'm not even in Singapore. What are they doing buying Gucci purses in Singapore? Well, for me, it was Coach purses in San Antonio when I was in Florida. I was like, how'd you know that? We know everything about you, Miss Sheryl. Well, AI does that, and I'm okay with that, because I didn't want my credit card charged with $500 of Coach purses in San Antonio. So machine learning works well if you're trying to do something simple and there's lots of data. It doesn't work well if there's a teeny bit of data. So that's how this evolution is taking place. Paul Kim, who's at Stanford in the Graduate School of Education, he's a guy who spends an inordinate amount of time researching AI. And he's saying that we as educators, you and me, we're not probably paying enough attention. But we shouldn't worry about it because it's not going to make teachers obsolete. There's not going to be a robot in every classroom. Calm your fears, ladies and gentlemen. But he thinks it's going to augment what we do, and so do I. I think there's no doubt in our mind it's going to make us better. Tom Mitchell, who's at Carnegie Mellon, and I read a bunch of Tom Mitchell's stuff, and this is what I extracted from that AI can learn from more experience than a human teacher will ever get. AI can learn from more experience than a human teacher will ever get. That means this analyzing of huge data sets. A lot of us have data warehouses. A lot of us has trained our teachers, get in there, massage that data, put you a data wall up in your classroom or in the meeting room. We're going to have data meetings. We're going to look at this. We're going to analyze it, and we're going to say, what the heck is that? What does that mean? It's 4 o'clock. Can we go home, principal? Well, AI can analyze that data and spit out information in ways that we don't have the time. We don't have the intellectual capacity, and we don't have the energy. But let's let AI work for us. This guy, I could have done a whole workshop on Derek Lee. He is in China, and he has a company called Squirrel Learning. It is one of the most advanced educational tools on the planet. Squirrel Learning is using AI in ways that we have not even begun to imagine. So if you're interested in this, you should look up this dude and you should read all the papers that he's published, listen to his YouTube videos. But what the synthesis of this is, again, no two students are alike. Even the poorest of our students master things differently, have different strengths and weaknesses. And so what AI can do in this deep machine learning personalization is strengthen their understanding in key subjects, scaffold them up in areas they're weak in the modality that they need. I just finished teaching 3 years of high school dual credit to high school seniors, trying to seduce them to be teachers and giving them college credit. It was so much work with these high school students, looking through everything that they were turning in, analyzing all this stuff, because I wrote the course. So we didn't have any AI in it. I was the only I in it, the only intelligence in it. But after I read all this stuff, I thought, you know what? This could be done better, more rapidly, and some things would have been better for my students. Well, we've spent a weekend here at the Learning Council, and we heard Leilani talk yesterday about the competition, the homeschooling, the charters. They're out there looking for our children. So is it maybe broken and a little unfair after 40 years in the field? I'm like, I've been trying, but I hadn't fixed it yet. And we had online learning. I'm going to tell you something. We were one of the first school districts in the country, other than higher ed, to build a whole LMS and Blackboard. It was almost 19 years ago. And it was good. And, you know, MOOCs came out. 5,000 people are going to be in this course. I got in a MOOC. I was like, I don't even know what these people are doing here. I felt like it was just me in a computer. I learned a little bit, but there was no effective way to track it. Are they paying attention? Are they really doing the work? Somebody else doing it? Well, I think we have an answer with AI, because I think we're going to bring back personalized learning where every child does feel like what they know is being honored and recognized. So if you think back to the AI winter and the spring where we are now, well, back in the 50s and the 60s, just starting to invest, think about it, in algorithms. Now, AI is really this human cognition being supported by AI as it continues to learn and we continue to learn with it. So what does this mean for us? The World Economic Forum says by 2022, blink your eyes, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be 2022, 58 million new jobs will be created, including workplace robots. Watch a YouTube video about Amazon and what's happening on their show, on their floors. Robot after robot. How many of you use AI in your car? I have a little map in my car. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. I'm lost. Tell me where to go. It never fails me. How many of you use any kind of video streaming with reflections? And Sheryl, this is great for you. You like this, you'll like that. Netflix saves $1 billion a year with an algorithm that personalizes it for each of us. My husband has his account, my daughter has her account, I have mine. I don't want to see what they like. I want to see what Sheryl wants to see because it's about me. It's all about me. Amazon, they are already starting. Buy you some Amazon, don't go shopping, shop on Amazon Prime. 225% reduction in the ship to click time. I bought something the other day and it said, would you like it this afternoon? I was in Milwaukee visiting my son and my daughter and my 2 precious grandbabies. And I was like, no, you can just deliver it tomorrow. I don't want to go pick it up at the Amazon, whatever, locker this afternoon. I don't need it that quick. That's unheard of. 67% of large companies are going to have AI by 2021. That's basically next year, up from 14%. $118 billion by 2025 versus 9.5 in 2018. That is a lot of money being spent in this area. But what's it really all about? This is what it's really all about. It's about our classroom. It's about children. It's why you come to the Learning Council. It's why I continue to do what I do. Somebody said, I thought you retired. I said, I failed. Miserably failed at retirement. Retired June 30th, July 1st, I was on the airplane. Because I love what I do. And I love what we do for kids. We in education are the economic engine that drives this country. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Don't lose 1 ounce of sleep over it. It's us. We drive the economic engine of this country by educating students that will take our place and far surpass what we're doing. And that's what we want to happen. Because the world has changed. My husband and I are trying to, he's trying to bully me into cleaning out my life and my history in my office, and it's worked some, but I did run across a Sonny Walkman. I have to admit it. I did have to throw away a very, very old BlackBerry that was run by batteries. He goes, throw that away, you can't even use it. I said, that's history. I could probably sell that later and make some money. He said, throw it away. We're moving. But the world has changed. I thought this was such an interesting piece of information about right now our smartphones. All of these applications are basically free. Back in the 80s, as we moved 70s, 80s, 60s, $900,000 worth of apps to do what we do for free on our phone. Well, some of you might say, well, it's not free, Sheryl. Have you seen my Sprint or Verizon bill? But it's basically free because most of us just want to talk on it or take pictures of something or post pictures of cats on Facebook. So it's a big deal, this evolution. So by tomorrow, this is what's going on with data around our world and what's being consumed. The world has changed. I say the world has shifted on its axis in my life. And I'm okay with that. I'm happy about it. I told somebody the other day, you know the only problem I have? They said, what? I said, I was born 50 years too soon. 50 years too soon, because I know I will not be around when the really good things happen. Maybe I will, I don't know. I don't know what happens after that. But we've had a digital transformation in education. Nobody is debating that anymore. It's happening. It's been going on. We're on board. You're here at the Learning Council. They're on board. You're on board because you're here with them. And these are the engines of our future. AI, IoT, mixed reality, blockchain, quantum computing. But they're also the engines of disruption. And they're disrupting everything that we're doing in education, in life, in home, in politics, in the economy. It is disrupting. So that's why I said put on your seatbelt. Don't fall out. Don't get thrown out. Enjoy the ride. AI is poised to change education in ways that I don't think we can imagine yet. Customizable, inclusive approaches to learning. Effectiveness in everything we do. I'm like, bring it on. Bring it on in early childhood, bring it on in elementary and secondary and post-secondary, bring it on. Give our kids the best chance they can to be the best they can be. Help them live their best lives. My grandmother used to tell me, when you know better, Sheryl Ann, do better. Well, I know better. And I'm trying to do better, even though my husband says we don't need no AI. You think about these new skills, but only 3% of undergraduates are in computer science. And it saddens me, only 18% of those are women. When you know better, do better. 42% of employers believe that new graduates are prepared to work in the world that we're living in. 42%, that's not good enough for me. So, when you know better, do better. This is what the World Economic Forum says where our talent gaps are. Large talent shortage, United States of America. Large talent shortage. We must get busy. We must get busy. The world has shifted, I said, on its axis. It is a landscape that's shifting, and AI and automated work will continue to rise. There's no doubt about it. I've proven it to you. You're a believer now. You came to the church of AI. You know, say amen. It's going to happen, and it's happening. This was in the Oslo airport last year. What will be more important in the future, the right skill set or the right mindset? Well, Carol Dweck says, it's not picking up a few pointers here or there. It's not just coming to Learning Council, although that's a good piece of it. It's about seeing things in a new way. Understanding it, accepting it, embracing it, and you know better, do better. We need, the call to action is we've got to build this new learning culture together. We have got to introduce students to STEM and computational thinking much, much sooner. Our kids are programming Osmos and every little thing, you know, these tiny bits and whatever those are in kindergarten. All my kids can't do that. I said, girl, move out of the way. Those children can do it. Just let them be. We've got to ready students with industry-ready, role-based skills to fuel the workforce. And we've got to retain our students and our staff. The digital real estate has expanded. It's there. But because we're technology people, we've got to worry about security challenges and pay attention to that because the world has changed. And I'm going to close with this real quick little synopsis.
What will a world with artificial intelligence be like? Just look around you. AI isn't the future, It's here now. While only 33% of people think they're using AI, nearly 77% already are. AI recommends the right movies to watch, stops criminals from using our credit cards, and interprets what we mean to say when we talk into our smart speakers. Today's students are the first generation to grow up with AI. Artificial intelligence can already do many things that once only humans could do, like reasoning, adapting, recognizing patterns, and solving complex problems. By 2025, AI will take over more than half of all current work tasks. Employees in every industry will soon work side by side with smart machines to become more efficient and productive. And AI has the power to help us solve some of our biggest problems, like climate change, education inequality, and improving global health. But who will decide which problems AI should solve? How will we ensure our AI systems are ethical and fair? Who will decide whether AI works for us or we work for it? Our ability to answer these questions will determine the quality of our future lives. To design an AI-powered world we will actually want to live in, today's students must know how to do more than just use AI. They need to know how to harness it to create solutions that will improve lives. This won't happen on its own. Teachers are the most important link to developing the new generation of AI-savvy learners, workers, and leaders. Across the globe, students and teachers are beginning to learn about AI together. They're exploring the capabilities of existing AI tools, building their own applications, and considering what rules are needed to keep us safe. They're also learning that the more AI can perform transactional tasks, the more important our uniquely human skills like empathy, creativity, and critical thinking will become. AI is already here, and our students need to be ready. By learning to create with AI, today's students will change the world in ways we can't yet imagine. Are you ready to help students create the kind of AI-enabled world we will all want to live in? Are you ready to teach the future?
I think because you're here and part of this, you are ready. I think you've been ready. And I think your knowledge is increasing every day about what we need to do, how we need to do it, and how we can help our children live their best lives. And I love Simon Sinek. I've read most of his stuff. I've got his new book. I haven't read it yet, but Sinek says it's not about being in charge, and everybody in this room is in charge of something, but it's about taking care of those in your charge. And I would submit to you, whether you're at the district office, or the state office, or the federal government, every kid in this country is in our charge. And that's what we should be worried about. I tell people, you need to be good to your kids and everybody else's kids, because they're going to be making the laws about how you live your life when you're too old to make any decisions. That's why I've been very good to my children. I want them to put me in a very nice place when I get older and use my money wisely. But we have to take care of those in our charge. So I would say AI, so now you know. When you know better, you need to do better. Thank you. This has been a fun morning for me. Thank you, Leilani.